Hello, everyone. Welcome to a live stream with me, Heather Austin. Today, we are talking about new job search strategies you need to know for 2022. I'm so excited to spend some time with you guys today. This is going to be a jam-packed event. As always, you're going to want to take notes because what I'm sharing with you is super important for you moving into the next couple months of this year. Not only that, but moving into 2022. So if you are joining me and you can see me and hear me okay, make sure you give this video a big, huge thumbs up. Make sure you jump into the chat and let me know where you're joining from today. I know there are a lot of you in here already. I want to say hi to you, just to welcome you. It looks like we have someone is in here. Foodie Fort Lauderdale is in here from Fort Lauderdale. Welcome. Zach is here from London. So happy to have you, Zach. Kenneth from Pittsburgh. Devin, hello. I'm so happy to have you. And I remember, right? You're starting a new job. Devin's here from Washington. We have Ottawa, Canada in the house. We have Bangalore in the house. Hello. London again, Philadelphia, India, Salt Lake City, Utah. Awesome girl, Galen. So happy to have you guys. I want to say hi to all of you, but we got to get going into the content because I have so much to cover with you. Make sure you guys get questions into the chat. So if you have a question that you want answered, pop it into the chat. I will be spending some time today answering those questions. We'll get to as many as we can. But most importantly, we are going to be talking about job search strategies you need to know for 2022. Okay. Super important stuff here. As you know, I share slides. I have some fantastic information to share with you guys today. Some stats, some action steps for you to take, some things that you are going to walk away with wanting to implement right away so that you can land your next big career opportunity. Now, again, if we have never met before, I'm Heather Austin from ProfessorAustin.com. And my goal of this channel is to help you land your next big career opportunity. So if you're just joining us, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers on this channel. So make sure you do all that good stuff and we're going to jump right into it. Now, before I share my slides with you, let me share with you guys, we are hosting a brand new free 5 steps to master your next job interview and land your dream job offer. So we are hosting a free live job interview confidence training coming up here next Monday. So I'm going to pop that into the chat. I'm also going to pin that comment for you guys so that you can actually see that and it's there. Tori is also going to be popping some stuff into the chat for you guys, links and all that good stuff. And by the way, she's the one that is going to be taking your questions and getting them in front of me. So next Monday, we are hosting a free live job interview confidence training. If you have not yet saved your seat for this class, we already have, I don't even know, maybe 300-400 people that have saved their spots. You want to make sure you get in, save your spot, heatheraustin.online/live class. You'll see a page just like this. You can even watch my little introduction video if you want. Enter a really good email address and your name, and then I will send you all the good details about the masterclass, okay? So make sure you get in and save your spot for that. Now, what I want to do is jump into the content. And again, remember, if you're joining us, say hello in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, type into the comments down below who you are, where you're joining us from. I ask a lot of questions during my live stream, so hopefully you guys are ready to type away and give me some good answers, and we are going to jump right into it. So new 2022 job search strategies you need to know. I want you to consider rethinking your job search, okay? Now, as you guys know, most of you probably know me from YouTube. This is where I'm live streaming right now. We have helped hundreds of thousands of job seekers over the past few years land their dream job offers, okay? Now, if you haven't yet seen me, then this is your first time, you'll know that I have videos on resume writing, LinkedIn strategies, interview tips, job search tips, all that good stuff. Basically, it's a career channel. So anything related to your career, you're definitely going to want to tune in to this channel because we share weekly tips, either through live stream. We're doing a lot of short videos for you guys recently, and pre-published videos. So anything to really help you land your dream job. Again, here's your reminder, hit the subscribe button if you have not yet done so. We want to get to 200,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I know you guys will help us get there. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Now, what I want to share with you guys is just a couple of success stories from my community. So these are just stories that or messages we've gotten in the last couple of days. days. So Ethan sent a message in just recently, and he said, I had to comb back through through my YouTube history to find this video. He says, thank you, Professor Heather Austin. I watched your video the night and morning before a series of my most recent round of virtual interviews. He said, I've never felt more prepared for a series of interviews. So he goes on to say a lot of really amazing stuff. But then he says, I got the job. I definitely will be referring friends and colleagues to your resources. Thank you so much. And then he says, sincerely, a new subscriber. Let me give another shout out to Ashley. So Ashley popped this in just a couple of days ago as well. She says, hi, I just wanted to leave a review and say I discovered your channel senior year of college, looking for a job to start my new career. She says, all the different resumes I had was getting me nowhere. She says, I tried your template, which by the way, I have the most amazing resume template and example. If you guys have not seen that, it is gangbusters and it's free. She says, ever since then, I got my first job, and she goes, 2 years later, I've landed another position with a bigger company using your template again. Okay. So anyway, amazing stuff. One more shout out to my community member, Letitia. So this was just a couple of days ago. And by the way, you guys, we get these comments not only in our free private Facebook group on this free channel for you, but also in my email. So we get these every day. So Letitia says, I actually followed these steps and the steps for the resume writing masterclass, which by the way, we just had a resume writing masterclass last month. She says, I got the job offer in 24 hours. And she goes, I'm still getting job offers. I submitted the updated resume November 4th. So just a couple days ago. And she goes, thank you, Heather. So you guys tune in, because this is the type of success that my community is experiencing. Okay. Now I have a question for you in the chat. What is your biggest job search challenge? So right now, as you're going out there and you're looking for your next big career opportunity, what is your biggest job search challenge right now? So tell me that in the chat. And while you guys are typing that in, I'm going to come back and revisit your responses here in just a second. I want to share with you the very first step that you need to consider as you're rethinking your job search and going into 2022, okay? You need to target the right positions. Now, what's happening right now in the job market is crazy stuff. So if you guys are on my email list, I explain a lot of this stuff through email, or if you follow me on social on any of my platforms, I explain a lot of this on social as well, where we have never seen we're having record-breaking resignations over the last year and a half. It's been crazy. We've had layoffs that we've never seen before. So there's a big, huge shift that's happening. And I know I've talked about this a lot the last couple of weeks here on my channel, where workers or professionals are no longer willing to do work they don't love, right? We are all rethinking our priorities right now, which is either making us want to switch careers, transition or pivot in some way, or maybe keep doing the same thing we're doing, but do it for a different company. Or maybe we're just like, we're lost and we're like, what do I even want to do? Okay. So the very first thing, and I'm going to give you guys some very actionable steps here. You're definitely going to want to take notes, because I'm going to be sending you to a couple of free resources that you can start using today. So the very first thing is we need to make sure that you are targeting the right positions. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to really think about a few things. I want you to think about who you are. Okay. So who are you? What you like to do for work, and what you can do right now that will actually work for you. Okay, so meaning I want you to dig deep into your strengths and what it is that you want to do right now that will actually work. Okay, not a temporary band-aid fix, but something that you can really see yourself doing that fits into what you want in an ideal work schedule, like work-life balance. Okay, I want you to think about that. Now, let me see what you guys said in terms of your biggest struggles finding jobs right now. Let's see. Luis said, my challenge is figuring out what is a good fit. Oh, this is so, Luis, you sound a lot like I work with a lot of clients and students from all over the world. This is one of the number one things they're telling me right now is I'm just not even sure what I can do and like what I'm good at and what's going to fit me. So this is amazing. Let's see. Samara says, I'm looking for a job as AWS solution architect, associate, and need help with my resume. Awesome. Kelly says, I am changing careers and don't know what direction or what to put in my headline for LinkedIn. Okay, I'm going to give you some really good steps today, Kelly. Let's see. Mark says, finding the right connections to apply for the right job. Oh, you guys are hitting on all the pain points that I'm going to discuss today. I love it. Let's see. Laurel says, I am in a new location and navigating the right fit based on different culture. Oh my gosh, I love it. Candace says, finding reliable resources or sources. So good. You guys keep the comments coming in. Now I'm going to share with you some massive steps here, because let me guess, you are feeling lost. A lot of you are putting that into the comments. You are feeling lost. I love these two people that are on my slides right now. So I'm going to give you a couple of things of what you need to be doing and where you need to pinpoint. Okay. So the very first thing, again, we're only on step 1, is I want you to conduct some sort of assessment. Okay. So for all of those who said, I'm just not sure where I'm going to go, I'm making a pivot, I'm not sure what I want to do, you need to conduct some sort of assessment. So I dive really deep into this with my Career Academy students in my online program, where we go very in detail, but I'm going to kind of give you guys like an overview of what this looks like. So we're looking at some sort of self-discovery and some sort of self-assessment. Okay, so I'm going to give you some steps here. And by the way, you can take a screenshot, and I'll tell you when to take a screenshot of this. So the very first thing that I want you to think about is you need to take inventory of your goals and your desires. Okay, so what I want you to think about here is I want you to really think about what is it that I want to be doing? Like, what are my goals? What does that work-life balance look like? Okay, so you're now starting to look at your goals and your desires. The next thing that I want you to look at here is I want you to look at where do you want to be 1 year from now. Now, I'm not telling you, you don't need to go look at 5 years or 10 years, because guess what? In 5 years, we're all probably going to be in a different situation, okay? We're going to have different life circumstances that have come our way that is going to force us to make certain decisions, and we might not be where we are right now. So what I want you to think about is just 1 year from now, where do you want to be? The next thing I want you to focus on is what type of work do you want to be doing? Now, by the way, I'm going to share with you guys exactly how to do these steps in just a second. What type of work do you want to be doing? Okay. Do you want to maybe move into accounting? Do you want to move into product management? Maybe you want to be a flight attendant. Who knows what that is? And I'm going to show you in a second how to find that. But think about what type of work you want to be doing. The next thing I want you to think about is I want you to get ideas from a personality assessment, okay? And I'm going to show you exactly where to go to do this. By the way, take a screenshot of this if you guys haven't done so already. These are the 4 things that you need to do your self-discovery and your self-assessment. Now, again, I dive deep into my Academy program with my students on how to do all this. And I'm giving you kind of like an overview to get you started for today and moving into this next week. But again, take a screenshot of this because these are the 4 things you want to do. Let's see. Lydia, hello, Lydia says, aligning my passions with the right job. I love it. Allie says, I'm looking for a change. I've worked as an accountant and a commercial property manager collectively for 16 years. Awesome. Allie, I love that background. And then she says, burned out and trying to branch out to something new. I love this. Okay, I'm going to give you the exact steps. And then Luis goes on to say, also more specifically, I keep getting told I may be a bit too experienced in my career for roles, even though they are in different industries. Oh, I totally get that, Luis. We're going to touch on that in just a second as well. Again, you guys, if you have any specific questions you want me to answer, get that into the chat. Tori's going to be getting those in front of me, making sure I see your questions, and we'll do as best as we can to answer all of those questions, or as many as we can. Okay, now, let me show you guys really quickly. Tell me yes or no in the chat if you've ever done some sort of personality test, okay? So personality tests come in many forms, okay? We can learn basically anything we want about our personality just by doing a simple assessment. Keep in mind, with all these tests, okay, and I'm talking, you've got your discs, you've got your disc, you got Myers-Briggs, you've got 10 different personality tests you can do just as a job seeker, okay? Type into the chat yes or no if you have done a personality test. I want to say about these tests, because I'm about to break one down for you pretty specifically here. Keep in mind, they're all basically telling you the same thing. Okay, we all kind of fall into some category. Okay, we all kind of fall into a natural habit. Okay, that we do or that we are. It's like our personality or a character. And all these personality tests, all they're doing is they're putting you in different categories. Okay. You have to take these tests with a grain of salt. I could take one test today and score one way, and then in a week when I'm feeling totally different, I could take it again and feel and have a different score. So what I'm saying, as I'm going to share this with you, keep that in mind, that it's specifically, all it is a category, but you can kind of mold from one category to another depending on your day. But there are some true facts here, and you'll see as you do these personality tests on your own. Now, let me see if you guys have done. Oh, yes, I'm seeing a lot of yes. Diana says yes, Myers-Briggs. Kenneth says DISC. Shelly says yes. Laurel says yes. Lydia says yes. Awesome. Yep. A lot of yeses. I do see some no's. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one to do right now. Well, don't do it right now, but after we finish here today, okay? Let me pop this slide up for you so you can see it. 16personalities.com. This is a free version of what we call the Myers-Briggs. Okay, Myers-Briggs, I think if you want a super detailed page by page, this is who you are, this is what you should be doing, blah, blah, blah. I think it's $50. You can go do a search on Google and just type Myers-Briggs. This is a free version. I actually like this version when I do workshops or live trainings with either corporate or college students. This is the one we use, and it has a lot of great success. So 16personalities.com. All you're going to do is click on the take test. It takes about 7 to 12 minutes is what I have found to go through this. Don't do it now, but I want to show you guys what's going to happen. Once you do that test, they're actually going to break you down into 4 different categories. Keep in mind, these categories are across the board for most of those personality tests. Like if you've ever done the color personality test where you're red, yellow, blue, or white, this is pretty much the same, okay? Everyone just calls it something different. I'm going with Myers-Briggs because this is pretty familiar to most people, and this is what a lot of organizations use. So I want to know from you, if you know already which one of these categories you are, type that into the chat, but I'm going to explain a little bit about these here. So when we're looking at your analyst, so again, it's going to come up and it's going to tell you exactly what you are. If you're an analyst, again, this is pretty self-explanatory. These are people that are strategic. They love to learn. They're a strong-willed leader, someone that's smart, someone that loves a good challenge. Okay, those are our analysts. Our diplomats are people that are like quiet, they're poetic, they're altruistic, they're charismatic, they're free spirits. Let me tell you, my husband's a diplomat, okay? He falls in that category. We also have our sentinels. So our sentinels are people that are practical, they're reliable, they're very dedicated, they're loyal, they're social, they're popular, those type of people. They're excellent administrators and leaders. I'm actually a sentinel based on these personality tests, okay? Then we also have our explorers. This is a couple of my kids fit into this category. Our explorers are people that are ready for an adventure, okay? These are actually entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs fall in this category. People that are spontaneous, energetic, enthusiastic, loves living on the edge. My 13-year-old is just like this, okay? So again, which one, if you guys could put a category, which one do you think you are if you don't know already, okay? Now, when you do your personality test, what's going to happen is it's going to give you your category, but it's going to drill down even more specific, okay? And I do have a point for why I'm sharing this with you. This is not like a personality trait training by any means, but one of the biggest things I'm seeing in the job market right now are people that are like, I don't know what I want to do. So again, we're honing in on what that might be, okay? So in the chat, if you know which one you are, type that in. Again, my husband's a diplomat. I'm a sentinel. My 13-year-old is an explorer, okay? I actually have another child who is an analyst. So let me know if you guys know what you are. Kevin says yellow and red tendencies. Yes. So here's the other thing too about this. You can have both of the, like you can fall within more, all these categories actually. In fact, you'll have personality traits from all of these, but the idea is to kind of get honed in on one so that we can look at what careers work best for you. Okay. Oh, a lot of analysts in here. Awesome. I love it. Renee, Diana, Annie, Luis, Ada is an explorer. I love that. So again, your analysts are people that love learning. They're strong-willed leaders. They're smart. They love a good challenge. I love it. So good. Odwin says, I think I'm 1, 2, and 3. Yep, you could definitely be all 3. Kelly says, Sentinel, I think from what you said. Yep, okay. Now, keep in mind, you guys are going to do this test after we're done, and I shouldn't call it a test. I should call it like game, okay? Because we're not testing per se. We want to look at this very lightheartedly, okay? But you're going to go to 16personalities.com when we're finished here today, find out what it is that you are, what I want you to do from there. I have another resource to share with you. And by the way, Tori will pop 16 personalities into the chat, and then she'll also pop truity.com. So if you go to www.truity.com, what I want you to do with this resource, I love this one the best in terms of finding out which positions you should look at and target and which ones you should run far away from, okay? So when you go to this website, you'll actually click on the very top. It says Myers-Briggs types. Now, you could do the personality test here. I like how 16 Personalities lays it out for you. I think it's simple. It's easy to read. The questions are nice and easy. It's not complicated. But when you want to analyze who you are, then go to truity.com. You're going to click on the Myers-Briggs types at the top. From there, what I want you to do is find your personality type. So when you click on that drop-down menu, it's going to give you all of your personality types. So remember earlier, when I said I'm a Sentinel, okay, I'm a number 3, I'm an ESFJ, okay? So it tells you basically what you are. And what you're going to do is you're going to look at Truity to see what careers they're suggesting for you and which ones you should avoid, okay? Now, this example is an INFP. Now, if you're confused by this, don't be confused. When you take the test, it tells you exactly what you are, okay? It's really easy. Take the test. It pops out your thing. You're going to go to truity.com and you're going to analyze what this is, okay? So let me give you an example of an INFP. So if I look at the top careers for INFP, they're talking about someone that is a writer, a photographer, a film editor, someone that might be a psychologist, a physical therapist, even a librarian. So there's a lot of different positions that they're saying this actually would be really good for someone that falls in this category. The other thing it's telling you is the careers you should avoid, okay? So we don't want to be in the military. We don't want to be a police officer if we're an INFJ. Dentist wouldn't work out well, or even an engineer, okay? So if you are like, which career should I even focus on? What should I do? This is the perfect starting point for you. Now, I want you to keep in mind, as you're looking at your category, I want you to also evaluate the categories that closely relate to you, because there's going to be something that shows up in there that might be something you never thought of, okay? Or you might be able to find like a cross platform in terms of this position's really related to this other position. Maybe I want to start looking at those types of jobs, okay? Now, I'm going to show you exactly what to do with this information in just a second. Let me know if you do know what you are, type that into the chat as well. And if this is making sense to you, or if you're like, yeah, I want to go do this personality test, give me a big yes in the chat as well. Lydia says, definitely a diplomat. Emmanuel is a diplomat. Awesome. I love it. KF Print Lab says in between Sentinels and Explorers. Tammy says, call it an assessment. Yes. I like that. I like the name assessment. That's not as scary as test. Good. Shelly from Indiana says, I'm an ESFJ. Okay. So you and I can totally relate, because that's what I am. So, okay. Make sure you guys if you know what you are. And it's funny because ESFJs will know what they are, which is really hilarious. And sometimes, here's the other thing, Shelly, and anyone else who scores an ESFJ, there might be times where you're an ISFJ. So E and I, guys, keep in mind, that's either like an extrovert or an introvert. There are times where I am an extrovert, but I don't, if I'm out at events all day, or I'm like talking with people all day online, and I'm doing like, I'll get burned out by the time this call's over. And at that point, I become an ISFJ because I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to be an introvert and think to myself and be to myself. And I gain more clarity and energy off of just being alone. Okay. So keep in mind, depending on your life circumstances, what's going on right now, you're going to fluctuate just a little bit. Awesome. Okay. So you guys, before I jump into the next step that I'm going to share with you, make sure if you have not yet done so, go to heatheraustin.online/live class to save your seat for our free live job interview confidence training next Monday. Again, this is happening on a Monday. Okay. Not a Tuesday, but a Monday. November 15th, 12 p.m. Eastern. Tori's also has the chat for you. I also, in the chat, she has the link. I also have placed the link. It's pinned at the very top. So you should be able to, look at that. Okay, I had a question come in. Love your screen name, Suitable Lives for All. Love that. Is LinkedIn necessary, or can you deal with the company alone? That's a good question. It totally depends on, and we're going to talk about LinkedIn in a second. It depends on who you know already in the company. I work with a lot of job seekers that, they'll get their LinkedIn profile all nice and neat because, sorry, my door just closed. That scared me. They'll get their LinkedIn profile all nice and neat because they know they're going out into the job market and they have to be presentable, right? But then they have friends that know people on the inside and they just communicate via email, text message, or phone. That's totally fine. If you don't know anyone already on the inside, definitely hit up LinkedIn. You have to use this resource as a job seeker, okay? Really good question. Okay, let's jump into the second step that I have for you guys, and that is to target the right company. So really good question from Substantial Lives for All, because that kind of leads us into my next step for you. Target the right company. So let me talk a little bit about this because I have some questions that I want you to ask yourself. So once we get that personality assessment in order, and we kind of have an idea of some of those positions that we should be targeting, we're basically going to go out and look at who is hiring for these companies, okay? Or excuse me, what companies are hiring for these positions. Now you could do something as simple as a web search, okay, which is totally fine. And you can use some of those popular job boards, but I only want you to do that for research purposes, okay? That's kind of like step one. That's your starting point to say, okay, if I'm going into to work for a company that, let's say that one of the positions that it recommended for me was an accountant again, okay? Which again, that's going to be a very specific person. I could start looking for who's hiring for that accountant position, okay? From there, I'm going to see who's popping up on those job boards, but I'm not going to just stop there or apply there. I'm going to get a little bit deeper because I'm now going to start recognizing companies that are hiring for those job boards. And then what I can start looking at is who are those companies' competitors, or who are some companies that are kind of like working parallel with that other company. And I'm going to start seeing if they're hiring for that position. Now, keep in mind, you guys, another thing that us career experts tell you guys all the time, and I say this over and over and over, is these positions are not always posted online. So again, if you have an ideal position in mind and you have an ideal company, but you are not seeing that company has that position listed, don't let that stop you. I have a lot of my academy students that they don't even go to the job boards. In fact, I recommend that they don't. They use them for research purposes only. They make their list of their ideal companies. They approach the company about the type of role that they want, and they get hired. So again, and it's not as simple as that, but it is in some ways, depending on the steps they take in between. So again, we're looking at the companies rather than like, oh, there's 100 companies out there hiring. Which one do I want to work with, and what position do I want in that company? We're not doing that. We're getting very specific with our job search, okay? Okay, let me see if there's anything else I want to share. Oh, okay. When it comes to your target companies, this is the other thing, and I forgot to mention this earlier, is you are looking at companies that have some sort of shared vision, okay? You appreciate what it is that they're doing. Maybe you love their products or their services. It's a company that you respect. You'd love to work for them. I'm working with an academy student right now who she is in property development, and she's been on all these different interviews, and there's this one company that they really like her and she really likes them and she wants to work for them. They're kind of holding off the interview process a little bit, but then she's getting offers from these other companies that don't totally match her vision and what it is that she wants to be doing and her career goals and her aspirations. So she's gunning really hard for the one that does. And that's exactly what I want you to do is you're looking at those companies that align with who you are as an individual and that will be able to give you that work-life balance, that will be able to support you and where you guys can have that shared vision. So again, that's where we're going to target those specific companies. Now, I have 3 questions that you need to make sure you're asking yourself, okay? Question number 1, who is hiring for that dream role? Okay, so again, this is where I mentioned a little bit earlier, you're going to look at the certain companies that pop up. You're going to pay attention to those companies, who their competitors are, and anyone that's in the parallel field. Okay, so that's question number 1. Question number 2 is you need to examine their leadership team. Okay, so here's a really good example. If I'm looking on LinkedIn, okay, and I'm doing some research about that company, and I find that this company and their leadership team is really focused on like process improvements. Okay, and let's say that I look at their leadership team and they all have a 6 Sigma black belt. Okay, what I'm going to say is like, okay, when I'm going into this, I have to be focused on process improvements. When I'm going into my interview, I need to make sure I'm coming up with stories that show that, okay? Because that's what their leadership team is all about. On the other hand, if I'm looking at the leadership team, and let's say the CEO has 5 different companies that they've started in the last 12 years, this is a really good indication that they need someone that's a quick in their decisions and that has an entrepreneurial mind. So when I go and I reach out to that leader, that's what I'm going to mention in my message to that leader, okay? So that's really, really, really important. You have to pay attention to who their leadership team is. The next thing I want to mention here is what are the customers and employees saying, okay? So I'm going to give you guys a couple of resources. Let me know, type in the chat, yes, if you have ever gone out to do some sort of company review, whether it was just like a blind search on Google or if you were able to use Glassdoor or Indeed or some of these other resources to find out what others are saying about the company. Type yes into the chat if you have ever used any of those methods. Let me kind of see where you guys are. Looks like we're having someone here from Italy. Hello, so happy to have you. Renee says she's an ENTJ. I love it. Let's see. Annie has a question. Can I apply for different roles at the same company? Heck yes, you totally can. I would make sure when you're in that process, Annie, make sure you are make sure you're very open and honest about that with the hiring teams, okay? Because inside one company, you might have one group conducting hiring for one area and then another group conducting hiring for another. Let them know, keep that communication open with them that that's what you're doing. There should be no problem with that. And if a company does have a problem with that, it's probably not a company you want to work with. So, and especially you guys, if you are on my email list or if you listen or watch any of my social content, it is a job seekers market right now. Like it's crazy. So companies are bending over backwards to give you offers and we're getting offers that like we've never heard of before because they are looking for real quality employees. Let's see. Awesome. Patricia says yes. Hello, Patricia. Devin says yes. Have used the personality test. Allie, absolutely. Gina, yes. Devin, yes. Awesome. Okay. So you guys are kind of familiar with this. Now let me pull this out really quick about these sites because you have to take it with a grain of salt. You're going to find people that love these companies and they think these companies are great, but you're also going to have the other end of that. You're going to have customers or employees that are so upset and so disgruntled and so they want to say as many bad things about these companies as possible. So you're going to have that. Keep in mind, there have been studies done that say it takes 11 positive comments to equal one negative. So that one negative comment in your mind is going to be equivalent to those 11 positive comments. I want you to remember that as you're going through and looking at these reviews, okay? You need to take them with a grain of salt, and I want you to focus on those top reviews, but then maybe look at some of those less favorable reviews, but be careful how high you hold the less favorable, okay? Because people are much more willing to come in and talk really negatively about a company or whatnot than they are to go in and give some positive reviews, okay? So be careful with that, but these are really good places to look. You're just going to type in the company name and look at their reviews. And again, Glassdoor and Indeed, okay? Now, before we jump into, let's just jump into the third step. So third step here, and this goes with what you guys have been saying in the chat, is you need to build and nurture relationships, okay? So you've got your ideal position, you've got some companies, and I'm talking when we're looking at that ideal list of companies, so again, step number 2, I want you to be looking at least 10 to 20 companies, okay? That's a low number. You might have 5, you might have 30, but I want you to start with 10 to 20 and work from there. Once you get those two things in line, then you're going to look at building and nurturing those relationships on the inside, okay? I want you to spend a few minutes doing this every single day. Keep in mind, you guys, this is something I have to do as well. Like if I am not communicating with someone in some way every single day, I know I'm not doing my job, meaning I'm not growing my business. I'm not helping job seekers. I'm not helping others get success, okay? If I'm communicating with you like I am now, or if I'm reaching out to other career experts and asking their advice, or if I'm developing relationships with corporations that might need my help, I know to me that's a good day. When I can at least spend 10 minutes a day talking to someone on LinkedIn about their expertise or meeting with a job seeker about what they need help with. To me, that's a good day. I want you to look at job seeking as the exact same thing. You need to be spending a couple minutes every single day making relationships and developing those relationships, okay? You're building connections consistently. You have to be building connections consistently. Now, let me tell you how you're going to do this. You're going to do this by connecting with leadership within those companies, hiring personnel. So keep in mind, leadership is different than the hiring personnel. So those are two different categories. And then others that are working on the inside. And again, the best way to do this is by using LinkedIn. Unless you want to just cold call the company or send a random email, you can do that as well. But LinkedIn is the perfect place to start because you can do your research and learn more about that leadership team. The other way to do this, again, is any type of in-person or online events. I know the in-person events, we attended one a couple weeks ago. Actually, it's been about a month ago now. There were 1,000 people. It was awesome. We all had to take COVID tests before we went into the event. It was a rapid test. So when you went in, you knew that everyone was a negative test, right? It was great, and it was so refreshing to be around people. I would say, especially if you're an extrovert, find events that are like this that you can attend, okay? Now, I have a bonus step for you guys, okay? I want you to be leveraging the power of social media, okay? This is my bonus step for you in terms of moving into 2022 and your job search. What we are finding is that employers are going to social platforms and looking you up. They're looking you up on LinkedIn, they're looking you up on Twitter, they're looking you up on Facebook, and they're even looking you up on Instagram. If you have any unfavorable posts out there or anything that's going to cause someone to not want to hire you, you need to get rid of it now, okay? On the other hand, if you have nothing about you, if you're not sharing anything, if you're just kind of like quiet, that's not very good either. So what you have to do is figure out from here on now, I have my positions I want to target, I've got my companies, I'm developing those relationships. Well, guess what? I'm also making posts on social that show that I can actually do this type of job, that show that I either am an expert or I'm transitioning and learning how to be an expert in this field. It could be posts about learning. In fact, we did a live stream, Tori, I think it might have been the last live stream or the one before the last one we did, where I shared with you guys like a full slide, a couple of slides of what types of things you should be posting on social. Okay. So these were like maybe something that you learned from something in your industry, maybe something you're an expert on. You could even comment and interact with leaders and hiring personnel within those companies. This is what is landing jobs right now. The more active you can be and the more present you can be and the more you can show up for those companies that are hiring, you increase your chances of getting hired, okay? So again, I want you to review all your social accounts, make sure they're in good standing, and then I want you to focus on sharing your own content, okay, that relates to your industry. Now, the other thing, I'm gonna give you guys a couple more tips here, is use popular hashtags to search for positions. Like, again, when we talk about job posts and whatnot, companies are posting their job on social and they're giving it a hashtag job opportunities or hashtag new job op. Okay, keep that in mind. If you can follow those hashtags and you see those positions pop up, you're going to see the person who posted it. You'll see the position. You can reach out to that person now on LinkedIn. You can comment on the post. There's so many ways that you can land positions right now, not just right now, but moving into 2022. And then of course, share, keep in mind when you're sharing business versus personal. LinkedIn is a very professional platform. You want to stick with as many professional posts there as possible. I mean, I think the occasional, here's my cat Fluffy, or I went on a walk with my dog Oscar today and this epiphany came to my mind about blah, blah, blah. That's okay. Those things are okay, but try and keep it as professional as possible. Now, I'm going to take some time to answer questions, but what I want to know from you guys, what is your biggest takeaway so far today? So the 3 tips that I shared with you, finding your positions that you should be applying for, and of course, the ones you should stay away from, targeting ideal companies, building and nurturing relationships, and then of course that bonus step about using social media. What is your biggest takeaway from everything that we've learned here today? Tell me what your biggest takeaway is. Now let me kind of see where you guys are in the chat. Tori's popping in the free Facebook group. If you guys are not yet in that group, you need to get your butts in there, okay? This is a free community. We have 11 to 12,000 members in there already. It's very active. Job seekers are posting questions every day. They're getting feedback, not only from my team and the experts on my team, but other career coaches and recruiters are in there. Everyone just comes together to help each other. It's such a fantastic community. If you guys have not yet joined, make sure you use the link to join. Also, Tori's also popped the link in to the job interview master class that we have next Monday. Here's what it looks like for you guys. 5 steps to master your next job interview and land your dream job offer. Make sure you go to heatheraustin.online/live class to save your spot. You're going to enter your name and a really good email address to make sure that we get the emails about the masterclass to your inbox. You'll get the link to join, all that good stuff. Let me see where you guys are in terms of the chat. Gina says the bonus step. I love it. And here's the thing, you guys. We could spend a whole live stream on each of these steps. This was just a very quick overview. This is something that I go through with my Academy students in detail. But this gives you an overview and gives you something that you can do moving forward, okay? Annie has a question. Is it appropriate to send follow-up emails to the hiring managers instead of HR? Definitely. You want to make sure you know who's on the other end of the hiring. Hiring managers are probably the one that you're going to deal with most often. HR is still there, and I don't think that's a bad avenue. I've had clients before where maybe they haven't heard back from a hiring manager or recruiter. and they contact HR. And you know what? I'm actually okay with you doing that and just saying, hey, do you by chance know the status of the application? Just wondering. And guess what? What I have found is HR will actually give you some tips. Most often than not, they'll give you some tips to help you move that job search forward. So yes. Let's see what else we have. Okay, someone says, I'm pursuing a master's in project management, looking for a remote international internship. Let's see, CLG placement co-coordinators are not that helpful in this, so I'm on my own. Can you please help me with this? Oh, this is a good question. So this is where, in terms of international internships coming from India, I'm not an expert on this at all. I would say keep your communication open with as many individuals and as many entities as you can in terms of moving forward. If there's anyone that you know, like specific companies or industries that you want to work for in the US, I'm assuming you're trying to get into the US. I would reach out to them using LinkedIn. Again, but you said your placement coordinators aren't that helpful. Keep on them, keep sending emails to them, reaching out to them to keep those conversations moving forward. That's probably going to be your best avenue. Awesome. Okay, let me see who else. Robert says Myers-Briggs was the most helpful. Awesome. I love those tests. Those assessments. I think they're great. Devin says, are you seeking position? Oh, I think you're answering someone's question. Thanks, Devin. Let's see. Girl Galen says, I have steps to get the right job. That helped my motivation. Awesome. I love it. Yep. Ali says, I joined all kinds of Facebook groups to find job leads. Here's the thing, Ali, in our Facebook group, we're a community of support. We're not necessarily saying, here's all these job opportunities, go get this job. We're there more for you to be like, hey, you guys, look, I just interviewed with this position. They're asking me about X, Y, and Z. What should I do? Or when should I follow up? Do you have a follow-up template? Hey, I'm interviewing for this new job. They want me to know X, Y, and Z. How should I approach this? We're there to give you support and help you move that job search forward, okay? And it's an amazing community. I love it. We've had this community for years, and it just keeps growing. Okay, let's see. Kurt says, what is the best tool to clean up your social media? Yourself, your own eyes. Kurt, I would say take an assessment of what social accounts do you have. I would also say, here's something that would work really quickly is if you go through Facebook, let's just say, I would put all of your personal posts to private or friends only. And then I would do like a couple public posts that are professional in nature, that relate to the job or the industry in some way. That's a good question. But yeah, it can be hard. That's why I teach my kids and any of my younger clients and students, like, you got to be watching what you're posting, because you don't want to have to go back years later and have to clean it all up. Let's see what else. Okay, Emmanuel says, gave a new perspective on my job search journey. I love it. Good, Emmanuel. Okay, Amit has a really good question. I am stonewalled when I ask for feedback. What's the best way to ask for feedback after a failed interview? If they're not responding to you, they're not responding. Like, it's almost like one of those things you can try a couple times, and you're going to do that and you're going to reach out. But if they're not giving you that feedback, you have to move on. As blunt as that is, it's just the truth. PC2, I am very concerned about my current employer following my job searches on LinkedIn. Oh, this is very common. How do I handle that? Okay, so here's the thing. I think we think people are watching us more than we are, and you'd be surprised at how much they're probably not paying attention to you. However, when you do things like looking for new job opportunities in your title, or you have the job opportunities thing on your LinkedIn profile picture, that's something they'll notice, okay? LinkedIn tries really hard to keep everything kind of categorized. They compartmentalized, I should say. Meaning, if you're out there and you're actually applying for jobs, they try their very best to not let your employers know about that, right? So meaning you on the back end of LinkedIn, and by the way, you guys, we'll do another LinkedIn tutorial in a couple weeks. I do have a really, really, really good, actually I have lots of really good videos about using LinkedIn as a job seeker, but on the back end, you can signal that you're open to recruiters and hiring managers. Well, LinkedIn tries its very best to not let your current company know that you're open, that you've signaled that you're open, okay? So but they can't always catch that all the time. I would say you need to move forward with your job search regardless if they know you're job seeking or not, especially because it's a job seeker's market right now, okay? I wouldn't worry about that. I would not have those big, huge signals on that say, hey, I'm looking for a new job, right? But I would optimize your profile like crazy. And I know I get that question a lot. Like my students and my clients will say, well, I'm going in and I'm making all these changes to my profile. Are they going to notice? They may, but they may not. Most of the time, they're not going to your profile and like looking you up and like examining. I mean, you might have some companies that do that and examining all this stuff about you. Most of the time, they're not going to do that, okay? So I would just say move forward. Once you get those positions you want, the companies you want to work for, all that good stuff, move forward, okay? And don't even look back at what's going on with them. Let's see. Where else? Let me see what other questions we have. We had so many that come in. I want to make sure... I know we're not going to have time to answer all of them, but I want to pick out a couple to get here. Devin asked a really good question. Are you seeing positions and job opportunities outside of LinkedIn, like Instagram and Facebook? Yes, we are seeing these positions pop up all over, not just LinkedIn. A lot of companies are using Instagram and Facebook, and they're doing those. In fact, if they post on LinkedIn, most of the time they are posting on those other social platforms. So I would I would even look at Instagram, do those exact same like hashtag job opportunities. And you'll notice there's like a handful of really good hashtags that companies are using. That's the best way. Then you DM the company outside of LinkedIn. It's perfect. I love that you brought that up, Devin. Let's see. KTV Productions says, if in a second interview, the person knows you and refrains from interviewing you, is that a bad sign? That's a good question. So I guess I would need to know a little bit more detail about this story, because when you say refrains from interviewing you, is that you showed up and they said, I know you, I'm not going to interview you. And then I'd also need to know what your backstory is with that person, because if it's a good relationship, that person might be saying, hey, I don't want to be biased in this interview because I know you. Let's get someone else in here that doesn't know you that can interview you. In that case, they're kind of doing it just to be fair to all parties. That's a good sign. It's a bad sign if that person knows you and you don't have a good relationship and they're like, I'm not going to interview you. I don't want you to work here. So again, it could be good or bad. I'd need a little bit more context to that. That's a good question though. Okay, let me see where else we are in terms of questions. I know a couple more came in. And then you guys make sure you save your spot for the free live job interview confidence training again. Let me pop that up one more time. heatheraustin.online/live class. That's next Monday. We will have a limited time replay. So if you can't join us live, you should be able to catch the replay. We'll have that available for a couple days after the event. Let me just see if there's anything else. Let's see. PCs2 says that very valuable. Thank you so much. Kelly, let me answer your question really quick. Changing careers, but not sure what area, any idea on what to put in my headline? Yes, I love this question. So when it comes to your headline and any career changers or anyone transitioning careers out there, I want you to look at your headline as where you're going. So if you are making a career transition, I want you to focus your headline on that transition. So whatever that position title is, focus on that. And then the other thing I want you to think about is adding transferable skills in there. So things that you've done in the past in your previous position, but things that new position requires of you that oh, I can knock that out of the park. Now, when you're transitioning, most of the time, you're not 100% match for that position. But let me just tell you, I feel like it's the wild, wild west right now in the job market. We are seeing the craziest hires happen right now, that if you can show your passion and your excitement and your enthusiasm for that position and the company, they're much more willing to bring you on board because you're excited, you want to be there, and they're much more willing to say, hey, let's train you in some of these additional tasks that you might not have, okay? So again, I would look at it that way. Really good question. Robert says, does really the company, let's see, sorry, I think I'm going to try and read this. Really the companies are keeping your profile for further similar positions, or is it just a diplomatic answer? I'm not sure if I understand that question, Robert. Are the companies keeping your profile for further or similar positions? I don't know what you mean by that. I think what you're saying is, are the companies, like, are you talking about maybe being ghosted, or are you talking about maybe type in the chat if you can be a little bit more clear with that? What do you mean? What do you mean by keeping your profiles for further similar positions? Are you meaning like maybe you apply for a company and maybe they're not going to accept you for that position, and maybe they're going to keep you open for other positions? Is that what you mean? Not sure. Awesome. Oh my gosh, so many good questions, you guys. Okay. Again, make sure you get your seat saved for our free live job interview confidence training. By the way, we only hold this training once a year. We held it once last year at around this same time. So this is definitely a training you're going to want to save your seat for. Again, hit the like button on this channel if you guys enjoyed this video. It makes me know that you want to see more live trainings like this. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And then join me for our free live job interview confidence training. I can't wait to see you in the chat for that. If you have any questions or comments after we wrapped it today, type into the comments section down below. We'll be hanging around there to answer your questions a little bit after this ends. Okay, you guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next week.